Pastor Fano is not present. Mr. Michael Espinoza. Mr. Espinoza. Mr. William Beal is not present. Mr. Donald Burns. Mr. Burns. Okay. To be followed by Miss Stacy Fox.
I have some photos for the picture. Thank you. I'm a resident of 2016 Maine. I'm down to speak about the Central Bank building, the old hotel, and abounding buildings on Travis and St. Joseph. The graffiti is 10 stories in the air, which means people are entering and out of the Central Bank building with this graffiti. Some of this graffiti has been up there as long as 8 years that I've been there. I believe that the property owner needs to remove it and not the city graffiti task force because it's too high up. And also the signs that are on the building, a pedestal signs up there that just spins with no inspection, no permits, could one day fall from the top of that building. And that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, sir. Chair recognizes Councilmember Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Thank you so much for just being such a proactive constituent of 2016 Mayor. This is the same building. I don't know if you remember. I think last year I brought this building to your attention. It's the abandoned, I think, the hotel or something that sits right there. And we've asked, what can we do about this building? Because this is the same building that's full of asbestos. And a lot of vacancy that goes in and out of it, and it's open and abandoned. So I would like to see what the city can do to help with this particular building that's near 2016 Main, because this is like the second or third time that this issue has been brought up, because it's one of the old abandoned hotels, I think, correct?
Well, one's a hotel, but the Central Bank building sits on the corner of Gray and Travis.
Right.
And those pictures that you see there were taken this morning. That homeless man was sleeping there at 2020 Travis this morning at 11 o'clock this morning. And they was taken from inside the building I live. I didn't go out on the street, but take one picture from the other direction from the direct building. These are things that residents see every day in a building that provides a lot of tax dollars in one limited half a block area.
Mm-hmm. And what are the type of things that you think need to be done with the building, sir?
Well, I think that the building should be secured. The hotel building on St. Joseph, they put a sign on it, and they went over there and put half-inch plywood up on it immediately. People are getting in and out of that Central Bank building all the time. It is they're sleeping there. It creates a lot of problems for everything. When people are using the restroom, the rodents are eating the feces. These rodents will attack animals or people. It's a breeding disease. It's not secure. If they cannot secure the building, then it needs to be secured by the city.
Okay.
What it is just to secure the building to where they're not going in. If they're putting graffiti at 10 stories up, we know they're going in the building.
And Ms. Vasquez, do you have what is the report on the status of this?
Pardon me?
Is Mr. Davis here? Who's here? And Councilmember Adams is correct that first of all, insecure buildings do violate the dangerous building list. And so I really want to know, I'm just trying to think of a nice way to say this. Do I really need to tell people? Do I need to, give them a deadline and tell them I need a report? Or will people take the initiative and do it without me doing it? That's one that's going in my mind. I mean, I just don't get it.
In the past year, Mayor, you can tell when you turn the heat up on them, on both of those buildings, the one on St. Joseph and the one on Central Bank building right before IKIT, is the dumpsters come, and they're out there with dumpsters. On one of them, the tracks are on the one side. You can see where it was, and right after IKIT was gone, there's 2 dumpsters inside the Central Bank building that's been sitting there a year. They just go in there, throw some trash in them, Same with the St. Joseph, over on St. Joseph, 801 St. Joseph. They come in, make a showing, and then when the heat's off, it's right back to what it was. They're back into breaking into the building and occupying it again. It's as long as the heat's held to the flame, they're doing something. But as soon as the and that goes with the city, with the neighborhood protection and people moving. The one inspector will move to another end of town, so it drops into another inspector, and the overwhelming, and it just gets lost in the cracks again until somebody brings it back up. They're not, I think that that's primarily what happens with the neighborhood protection. They do their job, but they transfer employees to other sections and they get lost in the cracks.
And I think what I want, we have another group too on commercial properties. So, between the neighborhood protection and the PWE, and I'd like a specific report, Ms. Vasquez, on here's some questions. And I'm really not interested in hearing other stuff until my questions are answered, which is, who by name talked to the owner on what date? Did they say that it was, from the mayor? And then with legal, if there's a recurrent problem, why haven't we filed a civil lawsuit? It can't be because of the filing fee, because I don't know what it is these days, Councilmember Jones, but the filing fee can't be that much. Is it because we don't know how to, or don't want to, or because I think if we had you could proceed by citation, or you could proceed by civil litigation. Some of the larger commercial buildings, I don't know why somebody wouldn't file a petition. I just don't understand it, or somebody could explain to me why it hadn't been done. We have the lawyers in the city legal department. We have people in public works. We have people in neighborhood protection. This is not rocket science. And somebody could, first question is, who's talked to the owner? What person talked to what person on what? And that would be, if it's a corporation, I understand there's a corporation, but there's somebody who's head of the corporation. Second is, has there been a civil action prepared? And if so, why not? That is, what is the better, what was a strategy or tactics? With the remedy being, on a building like this, I guess you really need perimeter security around the building.
Yes, sir.
And on the structure itself. Thank you for appearing to report back to me within 1 week on that. I sure would appreciate it. Copying different council members. Chair recognizes Councilmember Lovell.
Thank you, Mayor. I was going to say, if we could get it boarded up and secured, but also if we could do the graffiti abatement. What it presents now is a clean palette. I guarantee you the taggers will be back and the bombers will be back. If we can put a camera up there, Mayor, we may have the opportunity, and it seems like from your view, we have a good shot at it, to be able to find and arrest some of those, which is a really clear signal about we're watching where you're tagging. We're going to arrest you when you come up here and do this. But that, Mayor, that graffiti's been up there for a very, very long time. And as we all know, when it stays, it's an invitation that you can come do this over and over again. So if we could secure it and then get the graffiti abated, and I think it's a perfect spot for a camera to see if we can catch some of the taggers in the act, which would be a good thing to do.
Okay, Chair recognizes Councilmember Brown.
Well, I wanted to thank you for coming down. Every time I drive by that Central Bank building, I get the heebie-jeebies. And I know, Mayor, that we talked about a program, that not just that building, but other large high-rise buildings that are vacant downtown, and trying to really get a handle on them. So I would very much appreciate a copy of the report.
Okay.
I can't believe who the owner is, whether they're paying their taxes. We have to go in there and board it up, put liens on the property. do you have confidence that we can make some progress there? It's a real eyesore for the city.
I'm not the city attorney, but most of the commercial owners, if they're responsible, they will take actions as requested by the city. It probably wouldn't be somebody low down in the organization. We need a commitment from the owner. And the second is, and this is when I'm talked on neighborhood protection and those within public works, and as well as our legal department, and we all have telephones, is I think on some of these, it's going to have to be through a civil action because the amount of citation is so low. And then when there's multiple citations, there could be multiple citations, and they need to be consolidated before a judge in the municipal court system if it is multiple citations, and do both in parallel. And that's what needs to be done. Yeah, thank you. Next speaker.
Okay, Mayor, there was one of the speakers that I called and said she was outside when I called her name. She's back in the room, Miss Tina Carajo, and a Miss Renee Doty said she called the office to reserve time on the women's issues, and we don't have her on the list. If it's okay, can we call those two at this time? Okay, Ms. Carajo.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Many of you know me in various professional capacities, but I'm speaking here today as a private citizen and enacting my right of free speech and discussing this issue. So I'd like you to keep that in mind.